6,000 yards.
No, that's right there.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
Starting off with a par 3.
You
Two
guys-
par 3s.
You want to get lost on that later?
No, I'm already there.
11:09.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I got no work tomorrow, and I still don't want to be here all night.
Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are Jack's complete lack of surprise, and by far the most interesting single-serving friend I've ever met, Martin and Brady.
Listen up, maggots. You are not special. You are not a beautiful or unique snowflake. You're the same decaying organic matter as everything else.
All the ways you wish you could be, that's me. I look like you want to look. I fuck like you want to fuck. I am smart, capable, and most importantly, I am free in all the ways that you are not.
This week, we're going to break both the first and second rules of Fight Club, because we're going to talk about Fight Club a lot. As we approach the 25th anniversary of this movie's release, we look at this unique film from David Fincher that ranks as one of the best films ever made, especially from our formative years. Where does it rank for you?
I love this movie, but I don't know if it's one of my all-time favorites or even one of my all-time favorite Finchers.
I definitely think it's one of the best. I know I could get what you're saying. That it's I assume you were saying not one of the best Fincher movies alone. I think it's. We talked about this when we did the last Fincher movie, but I think it's pretty from our growing up at the age that we are.
Yeah.
This movie, first of all, 25 years ago. Shit.
Absolutely.
Guys, what the hell?
I know it keeps happening.
Don't be cringe, man.
Yeah, I don't mean to say I don't. Yeah, I do love this movie, and it had a huge impact on my love of David Fincher, a love of movies. I read the book afterwards, and I read yeah, because it was. I mean,
That's early, Martin.
it's
25 years ago,
I
Martin.
didn't know.
Seriously,
you know,
how far has this guy come?
I mean, I read it directly after, so yeah, it was 25 years ago.
In the theater.
Sitting
But
on
Chuck
the curb.
Palahniuk, the writer, became one of my favorite writers. I read
That's
all
awesome.
20 of his books afterwards. I've kind of fallen off a little bit since then, but I always thought that there should be more of his books
Yeah.
would make great adaptations, but a lot of them just kind of stalled. They've only made
I
made a
assume
few.
somebody else thought that
Choke?
too. So.
Absolutely.
right?
Choke is like one of the only ones with Sam Rockwell that got made.
Yeah.
But there's a ton of them that are just very unique. He's got a very unique style. Somehow he always has like some kind of gimmick in every one of his books. But yeah, I mean, I think this movie's very misunderstood. I think there's a whole generation of people that looked at this movie and are like, this is
how we should be.
How we should be. We should be Project Mayhem. We should be Fight
yeah.
Club. We hate, the world doesn't want us. God hates us. Our fathers hate us.
Incels?
And, and they became incels.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. And it's the wrong, like you look at it now and you're like, yeah, oh my God, there's nothing to look up to in this psychotic person.
Right.
And, but maybe for a 20-year-old, they look at it and be like, this is how you fall into.
An impossible ask, but
Yeah.
do you remember watching it the first time and being like blown away with the reveal
Absolutely.
Yes.
and
one
or
of the
like
biggest of all
trying
time.
to wrap your head around like that happening?
And then we just went through The Sixth Sense in the time, like in the time period of this movie, you just watched Sixth Sense and you had that big reveal and you're like, I'm never going to get fooled again. And then you're like, Fight Club fucking did it again.
I don't think we were ready for that. Now that's how we watch everything, right? Like
Yeah.
you watch
Yeah,
every
like
show
everything.
looking for an angle, you watch every movie like exactly. You've been the Sixth Sense did it, this did it. You have these essentially beat you over the head. Now it's like, all right, I'm gonna find it. Like there's a
Right.
catch. There's there's a reveal coming. I'm gonna be ahead of it.
Yeah.
And I think we're all better off just enjoying what you're watching and letting that surprise hit, as opposed to searching for it ahead of time.
You're right. Instead of trying to hunt it down. But I also think that this movie, like you said, came out right at a time when there was a lot going on. We had 1999. We had The Matrix come out. We had Combine. We had this movie. We had Millennium. It was a lot going on.
It all comes back to Big Willie style.
Sure. Big moments like that.
Right.
Was that his third album?
Second solo album.
You mentioned Columbine. That happened like in between like shooting and release, and so there are things that were not well received when the movie finally did come out that were well received when it was screened because Columbine hadn't happened yet.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it obviously came out after. I didn't realize it was shooting. I didn't even think it was anywhere close.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it was filmed, obviously, before.
And I think that's part of it. I think this happens a lot with movies. Like, I don't think we usually know how far out it had been filmed, right? Like, there could be pretty big gaps between when they shot and when they released. So,
and it's obviously pre 9/11.
Right.
With buildings falling down at the end.
Yeah,
of it.
believe me, I thought of it. I was like, watching things from a different lens. That we've talked about that a lot.
It is kind of hard to understate the impact of this movie though too. Like because of all those things. Like it was ahead of its time in many ways, and that's from the author, from Chuck Palahniuk, and also from Fincher, handling it really well. I really think it's probably one of the best adaptations though, because the book's really good, but the movie's so much.
Even
better.
The author said. The movie
it really brings it to life.
Was better than his book.
Yeah.
Or better than what he wrote. The movie brought it to exactly what you just said. Like, the author was in full agreement.
Everybody's perfectly cast. I mean, you can't ask for a better Tyler Durden than Brad Pitt. He's so fucking good in this.
And I don't want to gloss over it, but I was also like,
and Edward
Norton narrating is just ideal. Like,
yeah.
it really works well. And Pitt is just... I mean, we've talked about him, and I am a huge fan, have been for a long time. Like, I would put his movie resume up with anybody's, especially in this run he was having in his heyday. Like, it's phenomenal.
I think, like...
He is phenomenal.
You started off by asking where does it rank for you. I like I said, I absolutely love this movie. I haven't seen it that much. Like, I don't... for whatever reason, I just don't... It's not one that I want to...
It's intense. It's a lot.
It's intense. It's not one that I want to watch a ton, but like I remember everything. Like I've seen it 50 times and I haven't, but I just know it so well because I've thought about it.
It's funny that you said that because I don't even know the last time I saw it. And when I was watching it, I was like, I felt like I was very much dialed into that type of thing too.
But there are some things that I noticed that I know I hadn't seen it that much because I'm like, oh, I would have noticed him a couple years ago. But one of the guys from another Fincher show, Mindhunter, yeah, the guy's in it.
Dude,
he's
I
like
totally
one of the main Project Mayhem guys.
Totally agree with you. I never knew he was in it, and I was
Your boy
like,
Holt,
yeah,
Holt McElhaney.
That's his name. Yeah, that's his name. So he's
skinnier, younger,
a lot more hair. It feels like a lot younger, a lot skinny. But and then I think he's in the part. I think he's the guy with the hose. With the part where they have.
I don't think he's the guy with the hose.
He's the guy with the hose that gets the priest wet.
That's what I thought.
Really?
I thought that was him.
I did not.
Even
think
if it's not, but it just made me think of that part. Like,
okay.
It's very funny. It's like it's really hard to get somebody to get in a fight with
you.
And if that was your assignment,
which, by the way, in that scene he fails because you're supposed to then let him win, and then he
chases him, but he doesn't hit him.
Yeah, but then the last time he chases him and they run off screen, so he's still chasing him. Like essentially, he should have just accepted the beating. At some point,
he did, but he wanted to make it even better.
Nah, you're explaining this thing away. The window was open.
He only started the fight, and he wanted to lose it badly.
Yeah, but he's bigger, and he chased him.
Yeah, but he wanted the priest to really beat him down, not just kind of give him a little punch to the chest.
So again, after you've seen it a couple times, you start getting that critical eye, and you know, like,
oh boy.
What Tyler? No, I'm not
getting into film nerd.
To take technicalities.
No technicalities on this one, but just noticing things like when there's like scenes where Tyler is spliced in and he just like pops up. Really quick.
Yeah, the little like
foreshadowing. I somehow knew that was there, but I never really noticed it that much before. This viewing, I noticed every one.
I noticed them, and I definitely remember seeing those before. But that's such a great way to.
And then at the end,
the penis.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
You didn't remember that?
Fantastic.
No, I don't remember that. This is like the first time I noticed.
Nobody's sure they saw it,
but they know.
They know.
Yeah, I mean, it's all this kind of juvenile stuff that, like, you know, you mentioned with the incels or whatever, that, you know, too many people took the wrong way.
There were
like the Matrix as well.
However many fight clubs
Red
started
pill, blue
after
pill.
this, you know, people were definitely starting fight clubs so they could go and
Beat
not
each other up.
not
That's
live
not what
this.
Chuck had in mind, people.
But even to this day, like when you say like something, you're like, first rule of whatever is you don't
Yes.
talk about whatever.
That definitely carried
Yeah,
through
it's
time.
it's iconic through and through, no doubt. Yeah,
We have Pitt in all his cut glory. I mean, that
Right.
dude is
I mean,
chiseled,
what I think is funny that when they're like looking at the Calvin Klein ad or whatever it is,
right?
and they're like, "Is that what a man looks like?" And then the next scene, literal next scene, is Pitt with his shirt off with the straight same body,
And so-
as on that ad.
What's funny, I saw that someone along the line. One, I will tell you, there was. I didn't document all of them. There were so many notes about the studio wanted to change something. Like, I feel like maybe this is just always, but it just felt like there were so many different notes that like Fincher was fighting about something, trying to keep something in the movie, trying to change something.
Yeah.
So they wanted Russell Crowe for Pitt's part, and they ended up with Pitt, and then everyone was happy in the hindsight that Pitt was there.
Yeah.
There was no one that was going to play that like Pitt, but it was nonstop. Like there were Helena Bonham Carter. The studio really wanted a bigger name than her. She wasn't big enough, and they really wanted Reese Witherspoon.
No.
I'm like,
I don't
this
think that would
movie
work.
is disastrous with her. In it. And they're like,
She's a perfect Marla.
and like, luckily, Reese Witherspoon said it was too dark for her, and because she was the voice of fucking reason. And Helena Bonham Carter, you didn't need a big star in that
No.
role. She was perfect. Right,
She
Marla
looked great.
is.
I don't really
perfect.
love her either, but she's perfect in this role.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is another movie that we have a unnamed narrator,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Which is a
Well,
huge part
until
of the plot,
later
right?
on closed captioning.
right,
Well, after the reveal,
it becomes a real Tyler.
real Tyler.
Oh, it says that. Okay.
Yeah. So my question is, what did Edward Norton think his name was?
They just never say.
They never say, but obviously his boss, the guy that worked at the car manufacturer, obviously called him by something, and
Right.
everybody in the office called him something. It's just one of those things where I wonder if there's any clues at some point to what his name is, akin to either Tennant or Layer
I was going to say
Cake,
Tennant, the protagonist.
where
or-
we don't know the main character.
Layer Cake,
Layer Cake.
Yeah, Layer Cake, they do that too, right?
no name.
No name.
No name in the credits either. He never comes out.
Okay, so we talked about both those movies
Yep.
before, and have we talked about what other movie examples of that, like famous ones, other than The Man with No Name, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Yeah,
I think
there's
we
that
talked
one.
about that at that point.
Yeah, because we made Brady watch those.
Martin,
No, we didn't.
Martin's tormenting.
No, we didn't watch those yet. We haven't
did?
watched the three.
I thought we
Just Full of Dollars.
Ryan
Good, Bad, and
Gosling's character in Drive apparently has no name.
Ugly. Oh yeah, but I didn't know that was like.
V for Vendetta.
Oh yeah, V.
they just called him V.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when
I mean, it's a huge plot point in this,
Right.
right? Yeah, that
you can go through a whole movie
that
and
nobody
have-
calls. They don't call him anything,
right? Because they call him like Cornelius or whatever
Yeah.
he puts on the
Mm-hmm.
tag.
Oh, someone said Kill Bill Volume 1. She's just known as the bride.
Right.
It comes out
Into
in 2, but
yeah,
With the whole kiddo thing, which we
yeah,
talked about as well.
We did.
Didn't love.
but yeah, I think like you said, like one of the quotes that stood out to me was, "Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. We've all been raised on television to believe that one day we'll all be millionaires, movie gods, and rock stars, but we won't. And we're slowly learning that fact, and we're very, very pissed off."
Did you catch the little when that quote was happening? Did you catch as he said rock stars, who he was looking at?
Leto?
He was looking right at Leto. Swear to God.
yeah, he was. Yeah.
And that was definitely.
I was going to say
mean,
Meatloaf.
right. Yeah, sorry, 2 rock stars, but legitimately, it was like it couldn't have lined up like more.
30
more
Seconds to
perfect.
Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes 30 seconds to get to Mars.
What?
Bad dad joke.
Sure.
That was where Jen checked out. She's like, this is where I gotta leave you.
She's never seen it before?
No, she had seen it.
Oh, okay.
But she knows that part
when
when
he's about
Leto
to
get beat up.
Oh,
and she's
He
like,
wants to destroy something
This is
beautiful.
where my stomach goes.
Yeah.
he is beat the fuck up. Yeah, and thinking about it, I asked you if you remembered the first time you watched it, and watching the movie, and I can tell you, I don't know that I've ever watched Sixth Sense since. Sixth Sense.
Wow,
After-
talk about a hard phrase for you to say.
Oh my god, literally nightmare scenario. I don't know that I've seen that movie after the reveal. I don't know that I ever rewatched it.
I have.
This movie,
And it's good. It's masterful in the way it...
Yeah, and so this movie, you know, knowing what you know.
Yeah.
Oh, side note, I did see a tidbit. Apparently, there was a huge Rosie O'Donnell spoiled it for like the masses when the movie came out. I'm sure we were oblivious and not watching the Rosie O'Donnell show or whatever.
Don't think I was.
At that time in '99. But apparently,
that was The View or something or whatever.
No, it was her own show. It said.
Oh.
But she apparently got a screener and then was so like appalled with it that she spoiled it before it came out, and like everyone was Fincher studio were all super pissed off about it. I don't recall that happening, but I believe that it did.
Yeah, it definitely was not spoiled for me.
But
That's
watching it, knowing the reveal,
yeah, you're looking for every
it's
little...
and it is so.
I know this because Tyler knows this.
Right, and it's like, they're walking out, and you can see like Marla's expression when he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like, and she's obviously confused
Two different
because
people.
right,
Yeah.
all those things are right there for you. You just there's no reason to connect the dots on the first time through.
When he's talking to her and Tyler's at the bottom of the stairs in the basement, like, this conversation
Yeah.
is over. And he like, just repeats it, and you're just like, yeah. there
Yeah, it
is.
starts to get more overt as it goes on.
For sure.
Which is good. And it's not a short movie.
Albeit, despite getting more overt, is still
It's still a
guarded
reveal. Yeah.
enough. I think.
Yeah. And back to your, the speeches, you realize how easy it is for like a demagogue to come around and just say a few words like this and just get people to do. And you're a charismatic leader who looks like Tyler Durden, and you just have to say a few things about what's pissing you off, and everyone's like, yeah, that pisses me off too, and I'm gonna do Project Mayhem.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get people to go along with you. And I thought it was really his name is Robert Paulson scene is just a great example of that as well, because they're like, they're trying to follow the rules, they're trying to understand what Tyler's telling them, but now it's
going
not
against
Tyler, it's
his
the narrator.
own-
He's going against his own words, and the guy's like, "Oh, I think I do understand now." And you want to hope that he's like, "Okay, I get it. This is stupid. We got to shut all this down." Instead, he's like, "In death, we do get a name," and then they all just are chanting it because they're
Right.
mindless. It's just a great,
Yeah.
that they're never gonna go against their God. Now,
Right.
it just reminded me of a different situation that we're in these days, and it's like it's amazing how prophetic something like that can be.
Right, and that's a great point to make, because it is, and you know what? It goes back a lot farther than that, right? Like you can look at any cult leader over in the course of history, like
Correct.
go back to Jim Jones and further. Like
Right.
it's these people are able to sway
Right.
the followers, and
People forget that Hitler was popular. He got voted in.
Right. Yeah, that type of stuff is impactful, and you see that corollary and that. Well, with Pitt portraying it as like a perfect thing, right? Like you're talking about essentially like the biggest movie star.
Yeah.
I think I saw he made like $17.5 million, and Norton made $2 million. Like, not nothing,
Right.
But like the disparity between like who is. What do you think the most? I'm veering here. What do you think the most iconic scene from this movie is?
Probably him smoking a cigarette and taking his shirt off and just going around the ring, and you see the perfect shot of the abs.
That's one. I have one other one that I feel like.
So I feel like this movie came out right at the time, and they cut it for a bunch of like DVD like trailers, like, hey, the power of DVDs or whatever. So the one that always stands out to me is when he goes, "I want you to hit me as hard as you can."
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
When they're outside of the bar.
And then I also like when he shoots at him and he's in the car. He's
that's
like,
the
"Whoa,
one. That's the one.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's where I was going. That's
don't shoot at the gun, your imaginary friend, and the
'Cause
nitroglycerin."
that acting. That's when Pitt is like at his I don't want to say his finest because he's pretty awesome throughout the whole
Yeah.
movie, but that's the
But I
one I
agree.
was going to. That was what I was about to say. So
And it reminded me, we just did 12 Monkeys recently, and I love his character in 12 Monkeys, just as crazy. We're talking about watching TV, and there's something about this scene here. He says too, he's like, you watch 500 channels on
Yeah.
your thing, and he just does. He
there's
does
a corollary. There's a thread that
There's
connects
a thread
them.
there, yeah, it connects the two, and it's just there's something about him going on a rant that, it's very charismatic, very compelling. He could be saying anything,
hooked
and you'd
Martin.
be like, he hooked me, he got me. I'm in for Project Mayhem.
So I have a question. When Bob shows up on the doorstep of
Yeah.
Project Mayhem, and Tyler goes out and berates him, and he walks away,
Great
and then
question.
he walks back down
Yeah.
and tells him, "Hey, like, do you think he recognized that, or he was just like, he just wanted to be accepted, so he
Yeah.
didn't care that the guy who just yelled at him is
Yeah.
the same guy who's."
I mean,
telling
there's
him
so
not to
many
come back?
instances of that where he asks people, "Where's Tyler?" Just all kinds of. They know he's crazy deep down. They just don't care. And
Yeah.
I thought about that too, and I think that's early on. Maybe when I first saw it, I was like, "This is kind of ridiculous." There's
Yeah.
all these it's not a hole anymore. Now I look at it and I'm like, "Yeah, they just don't care."
Yeah.
The people that are following the cult, they're like, "We can't understand his mind."
Sir, the
Why
first
he's
rule
talking to
of
himself.
Project Mayhem is, they're like, you're telling us something.
Like the cop said,
The
"You're a
cop-
genius, sir."
Well, yeah, the cops are like, you told us you would say that.
Yeah.
You told us you would say that too. And it's
Definitely
like-
told us to do that. Yeah, I mean, it had a lot of funny moments. So we talked about that. You need to have a little bit of comedy thrown in. It's a very, very good movie.
It's awesome.
and a lot of ton of the credit goes to Fincher. I don't even think I gave enough credit on my first viewing to the filmmakers. It's just all those little, like you said, the flashes of Tyler Durden, the cigarette burn part, just the way it's shot, and the darkness of it that we've always talked about.
you
He's got
can't
good
get
recent
away
music
from it.
and just an impeccable last song, Pixies, "Where's My Mind,"
So
which has been used so much since this movie.
I always thought, I guess maybe not always, but I thought that was in the scene where they crashed the car.
Okay,
And that's why when they did the car crash, I was like,
you thought
where's
you
the
were
song?
missing it?
I thought I was missing it, and then I realized it was at the end.
Yeah.
It's a good finale song for
Yeah.
sure for this movie particularly, but it really works on every level.
And what do we think? Do you think you can survive shooting yourself as long as it comes out your throat and not your brain? Probably, right?
I don't know with that gun.
There's a
You're surviving.
there's
Was that a big old gun?
I definitely think there's exit wound potential
Desert
for
Eagle 5.0.
not being fatal.
Yeah.
Probably not walking around.
Yeah,
Right.
probably not talking that well.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, you wouldn't just have a raspy voice.
And not a little bit of gauze to just hold it in hold it in your
I'm
jaw.
okay. I'm okay. I promise.
Yeah, I think that may be
A
stretch. I'll tell you what was gnarly. That's one facial wound, but Bob Meatloaf's fucking head drippings.
Yeah,
the sound of that hitting the floor, like when they pull the towel off, that's like up there testing the limits of tolerance.
they're dragging him in there like they're going to save him.
Exactly.
No, they're dragging
Get him on the
body.
table, and it's like they do this like.
Nope, he gone.
You mentioned the Desert Eagle .50.
Yeah,
Did he?
5.0.
So
Maybe
my
0.50.
question is, who do you take in a fight? Tyler Durden or Brad Pitt as the Pikey
Oh, from
Snatch?
From Snatch. Since he's real, yeah, and one punch will do ya. I'll take the Pikey. That's a great movie too. I really want to. Another great Brad Pitt,
Dude, I'm
role.
telling
Yeah.
you,
I always
I'm
forget
telling
about
you,
Snatch.
the Pitt resume is so absurd.
Dogs. You like dogs?
It's so absurd. Like put anyone up there, and it's challengeable. I think
Yeah, and like I said, he takes interesting roles.
he sure
It's not
did
always
for a long time.
Yeah, like you could have just relied on your looks and been leading man, but instead he does 12 Monkeys and Snatch.
Yeah.
Where he does accents and weird, crazy,
fucked
people
up
and
movies,
fucked up
different
movies.
directors. He got to work with a lot of different people.
Yeah,
Did you recognize any scene from this in another movie, or kind of where another movie draws from from this one, because there's one scene that kind of stands out to me.
Why don't you
It's
just
gonna
tell
be-
us the scene?
This is gonna be one of Jelani's real loose, like
Let's hear it.
connective tissues.
Let's hear it.
So when he's having the meal with Marla in the restaurant, or they're sitting at the restaurant,
Yeah.
and the guy comes over and he's like, "Oh, she will have this." And he said, "Don't have the clam chowder."
Yeah.
I always think to Old School when he's sitting at the restaurant with Meredith and
The Godfather.
the Godfather. He's
Oh
sitting
yeah,
there
they're all like nodding. And,
right, and they like look at him and they're like, "Oh yeah, anything you want is free. It's on the house."
yeah,
Okay.
that could be similar.
Yes.
That could be coming from. I'll admit that might be possible. That Todd, what was it? What's his name?
Phillips.
Todd Phillips, yeah, might be a big fan.
I'm
of
here for the
Fight Club.
gangbang.
Very good.
I just think it's got a whole lot of like that
Yeah.
movie has a whole lot of pull from this. Like, hey, we're starting a fraternity. Shut up. Don't talk about it. All that stuff.
Yeah,
So
Maybe.
I think so.
Maybe.
It's one of my threads. Me and Charlie Day got the threads going. We're pulling them all over.
what's the name? Pepe Sylvia. Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Sylvia.
So I go to Carol in HR. Carol.
I mean, they don't. I feels like, and Martin, this I know I'm like walking this into your wheelhouse, but it just feels like there's no chance this movie gets made now, like nowadays.
Yeah.
And
Well, like you
we
said,
are
like
in
he
the-
fought the studio every step
it was
of the way.
crazy the
And
amount
I
of shit
can't
that
imagine anything being different.
It was so. It was
and being better and being made better.
so there was the line, where she's like, "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school."
Great. Perfect line.
What's
So
funny, that's the second line. The first line was her leaning over and saying, like, "I want to have your abortion."
good. Oh, I think I,
I
do
do remember
And the
hearing
studio
that.
said, they're like, "No, this cannot
okay.
stay." And
There's a
Fincher's
better
like,
line.
"I'll agree to cut it, but you have to agree that you can't cut the second line." And the second line was what was in the movie, and they
Both
were
are great.
furious, and they wanted to go back to the first line. And he was like, "No, like an agreement's an agreement." And it's a great fucking line.
Yeah, both good.
And it is. They both really are pretty good. And I was just, but like this, I kept reading these over and
I
over.
wonder
again.
if that's in the book. I can't remember.
I as I was looking through all these notes, I'm like, Jesus, again. I mean, it was legitimately like over and over again. It was like they disagreed on this. The studio wanted this, and he wanted this, and it was like, man, like probably like this pretty often, but it's crazy to see it over and over again, like detailed and talked about. And I'm sure Fincher has talked about it, and it just he I think had his finger on the pulse of what needed to be
Yeah.
in the movie and
Yeah.
what was right. And
As he tends
they
to
said
do.
like they didn't even know how to market it. Like they did not understand like really how to put this out there because of its anti-commercialism and like, I
Yeah.
mean like how to put this out to the masses while simultaneously it being about like against some of that.
Right.
And he was furious because he's like he saw it.
It's a very feminist movie, but it's really hard to see that.
He's like I saw it.
On its surface, it doesn't feel that way, but it is.
He said he saw it like on like a WWE on like during a WWE show, like a commercial. And he's like, "What the hell are we doing? This is not what this is." They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then to Jelani's earlier point, they have Columbine. They like there's a lot of shit going on that is like working against this. So I don't
Right.
know how it affected
Yeah,
their.
this movie was a warning to not let the males in the society get to this point.
How'd that go?
Yeah, how'd it go? Man, I don't know. I will say the ending. We talked about this being one of the few examples where the movie's better than the book. The ending's better as well. In the book, he shoots himself as well, but then he wakes up in a hospital. I don't know if it's mental institution or just hospital.
12
But
Monkeys?
all the right, but all the people are still Project Mayhem people, and they're like planning for his return and for them to do more shit. So it's like still they don't actually succeed in
Part
blowing
2?
something up. But yeah, there's a second book. I think it's like a graphic novel though or something. Only I haven't read it. Yeah,
Interesting.
I might now. But yeah, again, one of those iconic ending that's different than the book but improved upon.
But I'll say I
I
was
can't
legitimately
see it be
and
better.
like many movies have done started at the end You know, you get there right out of the gate. You have a
Yeah.
gun in the mouth, and then they circle back, and they finally get back to it.
And he makes a joke, right? Doesn't he say something
You
like
can only say the vowels like when you have a gun in your mouth.
When you go, yeah, you can only say vowels.
No, but the second time he says something like
Apparently, there's another joke.
yeah, he says he's like flashback humor or something like that. Because he said I still don't have anything to say. I think he
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe
yes.
maybe I misunderstood.
It was when they were in the car, and he said, "What would you?" I think it was the callback was to when they're in the car, and they're like, "If you were going to die right now,
Okay, famous-
like what would you? What do you
Yes.
wish you would have done?" And they both guys in the back seat said like one guy
Yeah,
said
yeah.
this, our guy Holt said like build a house,
Yeah.
and he's like, "I don't have anything." And he's like, "I have nothing to say." So I think that was the callback was to that point.
Yeah, all right, you're right. That's what it was.
God damn, my memory's humming right now.
Must be the old fashions.
Must be.
I was spotting those raccoons.
Once I hit 2 old fashions, I'm dialed in.
What else? Did we miss anything?
Just getting cut for a movie, like getting worked out. And do you think,
You got to say careful when you say getting cut for. I was like, what? The movie?
well, so like
I know what
obviously
you're
we
saying.
see how
Final
good we see how good
That's
like,
where I was
Brad
thinking.
Pitt looks, right?
Hell
Getting
yes.
worked out.
Yeah, we do, July.
I mean, it's just HGH.
Well,
Why not? You're not an athlete.
Well, so I just read in here that Norton had to lose weight,
Because he was coming off American
coming-
History X.
right, where
and
he was all
got-
jacked up.
yeah.
Dude was
So he had to be not as jacked as Tyler.
Right, to
Or
show
as
the
Brad Pitt.
difference.
Right.
He had to look average.
What do you think the selling point was to Jared Leto? Like, hey, we're gonna take you in this movie, and then we're just gonna fuck your shit up.
But
You ugly.
it's going to be because you're beautiful. That's the selling
Oh,
point.
so you're saying I'm the most
By the
pretty
way, that's
person
the
in
sell.
the movie?
That's the sell right there.
Yeah.
You're the best looking one in the film.
Better than Brad Pitt?
Yes.
Yes, Jared, yes.
No. Sorry.
Jordan Catalano.
My so-called
Yeah,
life?
you got it. Good call. Good pull.
Oh, yeah. Once upon a time. I was really, really happy to watch this again. It's been a minute.
It's been too long.
And
Yeah. It was
I
perfect
think
timing.
you're spot on though, Martin, with that. Like it's for as great of a movie as it is, it's not a rewatch type movie. Or at least not a frequent rewatch type movie. But I think it's good to circle back every once in a while and kind of dive back in because it's hard not to really appreciate all of it. And I do think some of that then you could appreciate a little more of that, like, yeah, the catch or the reveal, but it's fun to watch those scenes happen and be like, oh yeah, here it is. Like, it's like, Tyler's not here anymore. Tyler left. Yeah. And she's just staring at him blankly, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you can connect those dots.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Social Network might be his most rewatchable Fincher's of his movies, but Gone Girl's really good too.
Yeah, but I would
Fight
agree,
Club.
maybe
They're all-
not the most rewatchable. Gone Girl, I mean.
Gone Girl, yeah, it might not be either.
Yeah, probably Social
He's
Network.
just got a lot of really good projects, man. I mean, there's so many good collaborations. They're good adaptations. Yeah,
Alien 3?
He picks the he picks the rights. I want to say.
I know, and Pitt did as well for a while. So this was like a perfect pair. I did see something where Pitt was not in, and Fincher had
Because
to essentially
he had done 7.
No, he just was, I think, not really interested, and then Fincher essentially sat him down and sold it to him. And
This will make you a star, Brad. A star.
I think he was in the heat of being a star, but
yeah, I know. I'm kidding.
I think I know Brady's most rewatchable Fincher.
I was looking. Do you?
It's Mank. Brady can't get enough of Mank.
The only miss.
You know we
It's
need
still a
to
good movie.
we need to rewatch is The Game.
Yeah, I was going to
Yes,
say that's
we
really
do.
what it is.
Because I really liked that movie, but again, it's not something. I don't know that his movies fall hard into that rewatching category.
They don't, but here's the thing about his.
But when you rewatch them, they're good.
Yes, they're good, and they are. He is a good thriller director. Like he can create a thriller, get you that
I
suspense.
feel like even that's not the right word, though.
but
Maybe
it's
I'm
just
wrong.
it's just something that like I feel like we're missing from a lot of directors today where it's just like, hey, this is a story and you're going to want to be involved in the story wherever it goes because I'm going to tell it in a way that
There's an intensity to all of his
Yes.
movies, and I don't know that I just don't love the word thriller per
True.
se.
Okay.
That's not your fault. I don't know that there's a good word for it, but I do. That's why I think they all have an intensity that is really.
He's a modern day Hitchcock, is what you guys want to say, right?
I don't. I'm unfamiliar with your corollary.
maybe.
Have you guys really not seen a lot of or any Hitchcock other
Not
than like
much.
Psycho? Have you seen Psycho?
Who's in that?
Jamie Lee Curtis's mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've
Janet Leigh.
seen a handful of Hitchcocks.
Okay.
We could do. I would be
Oh,
up for
boy.
Rear Window, and
Okay.
Disturbia.
Is that Johnny Depp and Shia?
Johnny
It's
Depp?
Shia
Is it
and
Johnny
David Morris. Johnny Depp's not in it.
Yeah, I don't think
Rear Window?
Rear Window is Cary Grant.
Oh,
the original. There might have been a remake. I think you're thinking of Secret
No,
Window.
Secret Window.
Ooh, maybe.
Secret Window.
Turturro and
which is-
Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's I think that's a Stephen King short story or something.
Okay.
But no, not that.
You guys know I'll do shit for you.
Yeah,
Stole
you'll watch.
my life.
You'll like Rear Window. There's only a few I would
Don't
make
say
you
shit
watch.
like that. That is.
Here,
All right,
we'll
you
give
might
you
not
the
like it.
The
Simpsons.
odds are
But
stacked.
you like
against
Disturbia? It's Shia.
Here,
I've seen Shia.
you can watch the Simpsons one when they did
Oh,
the
that
play
one
on
was so
Rear
good.
Window, and then
So good.
we'll watch Rear Window.
That'll be required viewing too. But yeah, no, I think there's something to Fincher being.
Well, I just think
Hitchcockian.
there's,
But-
and this goes to like what my question earlier in
But
terms
way
of like if the movie would be made. Like he right now can get away with making a movie that probably no one else really can. Like he can make these
he can make The Killer
darker,
I don't
right.
know that anyone else would have.
darker, intense
Greenlit
stories that are not going to fit in a box
Mm-hmm.
because he's built that up. And, I mean, case in point, they let him make Mank, which was hot shit. But
Yeah, few directors have his level of carte blanche, right?
yeah, you would think, and then maybe that will run out at some point. But right now, I think
You have
he still
Christopher
can.
Nolan now. You have David Fincher.
Nolan for sure. But yeah, I think some of the older. I mean, Spielberg can make whatever the fuck he wants, and
Yeah.
so can Scorsese.
Scorsese,
Like,
yeah.
they can make whatever they want, but not a lot of like lesser known can. And this is the type of movie that one isn't getting made this day and age at all anyway. But two, you would need someone like him now with that carte blanche to be like, I'm making this movie and it's gonna be fucking. You're not gonna know what
Yeah.
to do with it, but you're just gonna trust. You're
No
trusting
notes.
me, and I'm telling you that this is gonna work. And then here you go.
As always, this is the greatest moment of your life, man, and you're off somewhere missing it. Don't miss out. And subscribe to our Film Fathers podcast, wherever you listen. Thanks, and save it for the pod.